Hi there, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 386. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph on most of social media, and today is Thursday, March 24th. Hello, how are you? I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having some lovely weather like we are having today. It's very bright and sunny out and blue skies, and I realized as soon as I turned the camera on that all that bright light is just washing me out like crazy. Yes, it's quite bright today, so we'll see how that works with all of the things I'm going to show you. Could be interesting. Anyway, I am not wearing any knitwear today because it is warm. I'm not complaining about that. I am, however, wearing a t-shirt that I'll show you. This is a t-shirt from an indie event that happens here in Pittsburgh called Handmade Arcade. It was the very first indie kind of craft show I ever went to, and this was probably, oh gosh, 10, 11 years ago now. 12, no, it's got to be more than that. Gosh, I don't know how long ago it was. It was even before I had a business, so I didn't vend, I just went to it. But anyway, I bought the t-shirt because I really liked their little logo, the girl with the scissors. Thought it was fun. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing today. And I do think Handmade Arcade still goes on, by the way. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, you might want to check it out. I have not looked up the dates or anything in a very, very long time. And I'm not even sure what location they're at anymore. But it's worth Googling if you might be interested in something like that. I am doing a shop update tomorrow. It will be my anniversary update. So that's Friday the 25th. It'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern. I will talk more about that during the shop news segment of the show, but just to give you the heads up in case you are interested, I will have in-stock skeins of my anniversary colorway. I will have the last batch of For Ukraine specific items. I'm still donating 10% of any sales through the end of March to the two organizations that I've talked about before for Ukraine humanitarian relief. Yeah, so that's going on. And then the only other thing I wanted to tell you up front, and I will also maybe go into more detail at the very, very end of the podcast, just because I don't want to like bum everybody out now. But for those of you who have watched the podcast for quite a while, or maybe even not that long, you might know our dog, Muffin. We had to say goodbye to her a week ago Monday. It was sad. It was not super unexpected. She was having, pretty good health issues back in November, which she bounced back from miraculously with medication. But we knew based on the health issues she was having, she probably didn't have much more than a year or two. And then her final issues ended up really not even being related to that. But it was a decision we had to make that was hard, but not hard, because we knew that her quality of life was just not going to be, she was not going to get better. And so I had to take her to the vet and do that final goodbye, and it was sad. And I miss her because if you have watched the podcast lately, you probably occasionally hear her going tick, 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 her little nails on our wooden floor. And so I now no longer have my shadow following me around the house, because no matter where I was going or what I was doing, she would get up and she would follow me down the hall. Even if I was just doing something for a minute and I'd walk back down, she'd follow me back down the hall. I have nobody following me, and I have nobody to like run over and eat the things that I drop while I'm cooking, or, she used to stand by the table, usually by Bill, because he was the one who would give her stuff. Nobody to share blueberries with in the morning now, and Cheez-Its at lunch. So anyway, we miss her. She's definitely left a big hole in our house. But hopefully she is having all of the blueberries and pretzels and Cheez-Its that she wants in her ever after. So anyway, but thank you to anybody who did comment. I did post about that on my private Instagram, or my personal, it's not private, my personal Instagram feed at Fiber Nymph. And a lot of you, sent your kind wishes and condolences, and I really, really appreciate that, because I know she's been around the podcast ever since the beginning. She used to make cameos way more than she has in recent years, but yeah, she was a part of my life for a long time, and I will miss her. Okay, let's get into the 90% part. How about it? I do have a couple of finished objects to share with you, and the first thing is my Follow Your Path socks. So this is my anniversary colorway, and I finished the socks, and this pair of socks will be for me. So this is my bounce base and the Follow Your Path colorway, which is the anniversary colorway, and I just did my usual 2x1 rib that I've been doing lately, more so than plain vanilla. Heel flap gusset, and they're pretty matchy-matchy. I'm pretty happy with that. This toe's a little bigger than this one, but for the most part, they match up. So I'm going to be putting these away, and I'll get them out next fall to have a nice new pair of socks to wear. But I was glad to get those finished and off the needles. So again, that was my Follow Your Path socks on my bounce base. US 1 needles, that's my default for fingering weight socks. So the other finished object I have is one that you didn't even see cast on, but I did talk to you about it last time, and it's the Decorum Hat. So here's the hat, and this is a pattern by Hunter Hammerson. She goes by Pantsville Press for her designs. And I showed you the picture of this last time, but I am going to try it on and risk totally messing up my hair for you, just for you. Because you gotta see the ears. Isn't it freaking adorable? Like, adorable. I saw the hat when she sent out her newsletter. I'm like, I have to knit the hat. I have to knit that hat. And I did do it in a color similar to the one that she knit, but I dyed this. So I got the confetti yarn in. I talked to you about it last time. I said I had ordered it, and I did. It came in, and so this is the brown that I ended up using here. You're not maybe seeing the confetti bits quite so much. There you go. Oh, look at those. So happy. They are flecks of blue, red, yellow, and green all through the yarn. And unlike my Mountain Tweed BFL and Mountain Tweed Merino DK, it's still, the base is still not a white like Bounce is, but it's not quite as dark of an oatmeal as like Mountain Tweed BFL is. It's a little bit brighter than that, but it still has some color to it. So that affects the colors when it dyes up, but the Tweedy bits do not take the dye, so they maintain their brightness. And they are getting a bit washed out in this light right now. Anyway, so the hat, I haven't tried this, but you can wear the hat in such a way that you tuck the ears in, I think. I don't know how that works. Nope, I guess that's sort of tucked in. I'm unsure about the ear tuckage. Oh, that just looks like I have floppy little ears. I don't know. I just like the ears. I think it looks like a bear. And I don't know why a 55-year-old woman needs to have a hat that makes her look like a bear, but I'm all about it. So the hat itself only took me a few days to, oh boy, a few days to knit. It was not difficult, but I will tell you a heads up. If you've never knit one of Hunter Hammerson's patterns before, and this was the first one I had knit, so I don't know if all of her patterns are like that, but I'm suspecting they are. She writes her patterns in such a way that she gives you like the number of stitches per inch that you're getting using whatever size needle with whatever weight of yarn. Like, it's a graph thing, and so you find your yarn that you want to use. I mean, she tells you DK weight for this, but you get your yarn, you get the needles that are gonna, when you have to swatch, downside, or if you have used that yarn before for a similar thing, then maybe you know what your gauge is, but find your gauge and then go to her chart, and then you decide how many stitches you're going to cast on based on how large you want your hat to finish up being. So that took me a little while to really figure out because it wasn't super spelled out where I thought it was. And I may have mentioned last time that the pattern itself for this hat was, I think, 14 pages. The document was excessively long, which is crazy for a hat. But number one, her patterns are very photograph heavy. Not only photographs of the pattern for the picture of what you're making with that pattern, but she also includes a lot of photographs at the end, at least on one page, of other patterns that she has available. I understand why a designer would do that, you know, to promote their patterns, but it does not make it a printer-friendly pattern because everything is in color. So when I printed the pattern out, I realized what was going on. I thought, I don't need all of this information. And so I did print out the pages just relevant to the pattern. And then I ended up printing out a couple of other pages that I thought were relevant to the pattern, but they weren't actually. But what they are is pages that explain her process and how she expects you to use her pattern. So in that respect, I would say at least read that, even if you don't print it out. Read it on whatever you're using, your computer or your tablet or whatever, and read through that if you need some guidance. The other thing I will say about her pattern is it is charted because it's all cables, and she does chart her cables. And there were 3 separate charts, one for the brim, because the brim is, you're setting up for those cables in the brim. So there's a chart for the brim, a chart for the cabled body of the hat, you know, your main chart, and then there's a chart for your decrease section at the top, which forms your little ear sections. And I just dropped it. Her charting method is a little different. You really have to read. You have to read what she's got written there and explains, because there's stitches you're going to repeat, which that's not completely unheard of in a cable chart or any chart, like even a color work chart. It's, you know, certain stitches are outlined and those you repeat, but it wasn't like a whole segment of the cable pattern you're repeating. It was just these edge stitches. So again, it's not written super typically. And she also uses symbols in her charts that you don't always see. Like she has a symbol for the knit stitch, which a lot of charts just use a blank spot for your knit stitch, right? But she has a symbol for it, which I realize depending on what charting pattern the designer is using, everything can be different. So you have to pay attention to your key, obviously. I wasn't bothered by that, but it was more those repeated stitches that I had to like read and figure out exactly what she was talking about. In the end, once I did all that preliminary reading and figuring out what was going on, I had no problem with the pattern. It actually became very intuitive. Even the cable symbols, like I knew what it was supposed to look like, so I could tell what I had to do, even if the symbols maybe weren't intuitive. I found the rest of the hat to be very, very easy to do that way. It did still take me a few days because there is a lot of cabling going on in there at some points, and I was getting sort of some neck pain because I think I was crunched up, because the way I do cables, I don't cable with a cable needle, I do it without, and so sometimes that makes me a little tense when I'm doing it. But all in all, it was a very enjoyable pattern for me. My daughter Emma would like one as well, and she would like it in the same color. So I have dyed up more yarn. Here, I'm trying to pick that up without bending over completely. So I am going to be knitting her one of these as well. I personally, I knit the smallest size I could. I was in between the smallest size and the next size up, and again, she doesn't do normal like extra small, small, medium. Her sizing isn't like that. It all goes according to the inches in this chart. And so my gauge fell in between the first 2 sizes for the size of my head. So I just went with what I was doing. I figured that would be fine. It is a tiny bit loose, not excessively, like I don't feel like it's going to fall off or droop or anything like that. But I know I will have to go down for the hat for Emma. So I'm probably going to modify this a little bit and maybe take some stitches out of these stockinette sections that are between the 2 cable panels. I'm probably going to do that. I could go down a needle size to a 4 because I did this on a US 5. However, I really like the fabric I got with the 5. So I don't know that I want to make it tighter, because I like that the cable section has a little bit of drape to it, because sometimes cables can get pretty rigid. So I think I'm just going to probably take maybe 2 inches worth out of the stockinette, 1 inch on each side, and then that should fit Emma pretty well. And you might remember me mentioning last time that my goal was to get this finished before Hunter published the coordinating mitt pattern, which is called Comportment. This is Decorum. The mitts are called Comportment. And those did come out 2 days ago, on Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. And I had already posted my picture on Instagram of the hat, so I did qualify for the free pattern, free copy of the mitt pattern. So I don't know how soon it will be until I make those either, but I would like to make them because I think it would be kind of fun to have a matched set. So, but both patterns are available for sale now, so you can, I will link to them in the show notes. And as always, my show notes are in the drop-down menu here on YouTube, and I also, I put timestamps in and links to project pages. If they go to Ravelry, I always denote that so that you know if that's not a safe place for you to go, then you don't have to click those links. I also post the show notes on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works blog, and I post them in the Ravelry group, the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Ravelry group. So you can find them everywhere. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to tell you about the hat and the upcoming mitts at some point in time. So let's move on now to some works in progress. So I showed you my Crystal Pie colorways last time. Those were the 2 new colorways that were going into the shop last update for the Pie Day update. And I asked Emma if she would like one of those samples that I had started, if she would like socks from them, and she chose Crystal Pie Dark. So here's Crystal Pie Dark that I am continuing on into a pair of socks for her. Again, just like my Follow Your Path socks, this is a 2x1 rib on US 1s, bounce base, Crystal Pie Dark, and so I have gotten as far as the heel flap. I'm not quite done with the heel flap. I haven't worked on this in a few days because I was dealing with the hat, and I was also working on some other things that I needed to get done in a more timely fashion. But this is probably going to be one of my main, just when I have time and sitting at the table kind of projects, I can work on this sock. So there's not a whole lot exciting to tell you about that, but there it is. This one actually sold out in the shop update last time, and I will have a small restock of this colorway in tomorrow's update in case you're interested. Okay, so that's one of them. And then, what's this other? Oh, I know what that is. I'll show you that later. Sorry. The other thing that I have put a decent amount of time and energy into is my Vamping shawl, which was my project that I started after I finished my March personal stash challenge project so quickly. This is definitely not going to be done by the end of March, but I am enjoying it, although I have not really worked on this much either in the last several days. But it's bigger than it was the last time you saw it, so we'll go with it. So this is Vamping by Jennifer Dessau. And I am doing it just out of a whole bunch of leftovers that I had put together in sort of a blue to purple, not really a gradient, but a progression. And I had taken a picture of all of the yarn in the order I thought I would use it, and then I very quickly abandoned that because all the yarn was in a bag, and for whatever reason I had put the blue on the bottom and worked my way up to purple, which was on the top, which was the opposite of what I should have done since this was starting, the end I was starting I wanted to be blue. So I was basically just reaching my hand down into the bag, pulling blue balls out and just using them, blue balls. I'm a 10-year-old boy. Anyway, yeah, just using them as I pulled them out. So there's really no rhyme or reason for how I'm using them. I'm getting some nice other colored stripes in there as I go, which I think is pretty cool. There are actually stripes here you can see, but they're hard to see. I think this was in the section you saw last time. But anyway, It's going, and this has also become pretty intuitive for me, although I have messed up my stitch count. At some point, I don't know how I did, but I did. But it's easy enough to work around with whatever stitch count you have, so I'm not super worried about it. And the pattern is written such that you're supposed to work through until you have about 2/3 of your yarn left, and then move on to the next part. This is the increase part. And then you move on to kind of an asymmetrical decrease thing going on. And I'm almost to that point. So I think once I'm done with these two balls right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing the decreases. Because I weighed what I have left, and it is almost to that 2/3 part. Plus, I think there's going to be some colors of yarn that I just end up not using, so it's probably better that I stop a little sooner. I think this is going to block out to be really, really big, though. And I intend to block it to within an inch of its life to open these eyelets and everything up. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a fun pattern, and I think it's going to be a really fun finished object. So we will see how that turns out in the next, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get it finished before I go away on our trip or not. It's definitely not a project I'm going to take with me on the trip, though. Way too many moving parts. So anyway, that is one of my other whips. Vamping by Jennifer DeSalle. And I'm using US 6 needles for that. If you're interested, and check out my cool bag. I know I've shown you this one before. It's a Bags by Awesome Granny bag, but I just love all those camping animals and how the raccoon is always the one not doing the work. He's either in the hammock or drinking something and everybody else is paddling. I just think it's amusing. So anyway, all right. The last project that I'm going to show you. This, I'm adapting. I know you're shocked. But the pattern is called the Sunflower Hat, I'm pretty sure. And I didn't write down who it's by. I don't even have it on my show notes. I think because I hadn't started it when I first wrote my show notes. So I'll have to remember to add it in. Actually, let me do that right now so I don't forget. Okay, I just added it to the show notes so that I'll remember, and since I was stopping anyway, I decided to look up the details of the pattern so I could share them with you. It is called the Sunflower Hat, and or just Sunflower Hat. It's by Yellow Cosmo is the designer, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. I do not know if it's available anywhere else, but I will link the Ravelry design page. Sorry, I'm reading over here. It's written for sport weight. I'm using DK. It's working out fine. I'm also not making it as a hat. I will put a picture in here from the designer's pattern page so that you can see what it's supposed to look like. It was created in solidarity with Ukraine, fighting for democracy. If it is within your capacity, please make a donation to groups that support Ukrainian people. And she has a link to suggested groups that you could possibly donate to if you wanted to. The purpose of making this pattern free is fundraising for Ukraine. So it says retailers making kits or selling FOs from this pattern, please include the organization you're donating to, etc. Okay, I'm not making kits for it, but I am putting more of the For Ukraine DK weight project sets in the shop tomorrow. So I think I have 5 of them dyed up. So there's 5 more. Anyway, okay, this is the pattern that I'm using for this project. I didn't want to make a hat only because, again, it's getting warm and I'm not going to be wearing a hat, but I would like to have something that I could have out and about in a show of, you know, unity and support for the Ukrainian people. So I decided instead that I'm going to make sort of like an over-the-shoulder little bag. So I'm using the pattern as my guide, but I am modifying it, obviously. So here we go. I'm doing this on US 4s. I don't remember what needle size. Oh yeah, she says fours, threes and fours, but threes are probably for her ribbing. I don't have ribbing. Okay, so I'm using US 4s, and I followed the pattern with the cast on number, but I did a Judy's Magic cast on down here at the bottom, and then continued, just like you would if you did a toe-up sock, except this is a really big toe. So I started, and then I followed the increases, because she does have you doing increases. And I can't remember if it's within the ribbing or after the ribbing, but there are increases, and it's just all one round of increases. So it's probably after the ribbing. I don't know. Anyway, I thought, okay, well, I need to increase to that number of stitches in order to fit the chart on my bag, right? So I went ahead and I did the series of, I don't know, it worked out to be 8 or 9 increases, because I wasn't going to do it all in one round. I was breaking it up and doing them every other round, you know, one at each end on both sides. So I was getting 4 stitches increased every other round. And so that would have been 9 rounds, because you're increasing, I think, 36 stitches. So I did that, and number one, I realized it was going to make it really wide, and I was afraid that having it as wide as it was not going to let me make it very deep, because I'm only working with the equivalent of 1 full skein of yarn. And the other thing I realized after I had done all those increases, and I looked at the chart again, the chart motif is 18 stitches. And I did the division and realized, oh, the hat has 7 motifs going around it. Well, 7 wasn't going to work on here, because I didn't want to have like half of a motif on the front and the back of the bag. So I can only really logically do 6 motifs, 3 on each side. So I thought about that, and I thought, well, I could just, you know, leave it, you know, be yellow on either side, and it'll be okay. But that's going to be a lot of floats. Matter of fact, it is, if you look at that picture, again, you can see at the beginning and then at the end of the flowers, I mean, there's a lot of space in there where you're having to carry your floats. So I didn't really want to do that. And so what I ended up doing this morning is I ripped back the last 5 increases, I think, and I did just 1 more. So now I have an even number of stitches on the front and the back that will allow me to do exactly 3 motifs on each side. So I won't have that extra space that I would have to have carried yarn. Because I also thought, well, I could always divide my blue in half and then just, you know, use half for the front and half for the back. But that wouldn't work either if I'm working in the round, because yeah, it wasn't going to work. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm still not entirely sure how well this is going to work out, but essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm working until I have about half of the yellow left. Then I will start doing the colorwork motif, and then once it's done with that, I will knit up excuse me, knit up the rest of the blue. Depending on how much yellow I have left, I may end up like striping some yellow in towards the top, but then I also plan to knit a strap, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do like I-cord, or I could always knit like a stockinette strip and then line it with fabric, because that's the other thing. This being a knit bag, especially out of a stretchy superwash yarn, it's gonna sag if it's just the knit bag. So I am planning to create a lining, a fabric lining that I will sew into it, and then the handle will attach to that lining, so nothing should stretch and it should be fairly functional. So if I do that, I could also do the strap as like a wide strap rather than an I-cord, and then line that as well with fabric. That's a possibility. I could always do the I-cord around some non-stretchy cord. That's a possibility. I haven't thought that far in advance because I'm kind of making this up as I go along. But that's my plan. It's a cute pattern, and the fact that it's offered for free, giving you the ability to, you know, donate wherever you would like. I think that's really cool. So anyway, that's my plan for this, and I will hopefully have it done by the next time you see me and I can show you how it turned out. The yarn that I'm using, I think I mentioned it, but I'll say it again. It's my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Bonafide base, which is DK weight, in the light blue and lemon colors that I'm using for my combinations of my 4 Ukraine items that I've had in the shop this month. So, and again, there will be a handful of those in the shop this time, and then this will be as of right now, it's the last month I'm planning to do that. I may do something else in the future, but for right now, I just want to finish March, tally up all of the donations and get them sent to the organizations that I am donating to with the proceeds of all the March fundraising that I've done, and that is World Central Kitchen and Direct Relief. Okay. The only other thing that I have to show you is one more cast on that is technically a shop sample, but I'll show it to you since it will eventually become a pair of socks. And it's this colorway called Keep On Going. And this was the colorway that I did as the exclusive colorway for those people who took part in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works monthly makes program in 2020. Colorway, the thought behind the colorway was, 2020 was kind of a rough year, right? And so I was trying to have the yarn be an encouragement. Like, we just have to keep on going. Even when it's dark and cloudy, it always gets brighter. We always get brighter. Maybe it gets dark again, but then it gets brighter again. Life is cyclical, right? And so I wanted a nice, bright, soothing colorway that would encourage my knitters to just keep going. It'll be okay. Anyway, so this is going to eventually be a sock. I just needed to knit enough of it to do pictures for the shop listing. So it may not see any more progress for a little while, but eventually it will become a full-fledged grown-up sock for somebody, whether it's me or Emma. Probably not Bill. I don't know. He probably wouldn't mind so much the sparkles, but I don't know if the colors are quite his thing. So anyway, all right, that we are in the midst of the 2022 Make Along, which is the Make It Your Own MAL, or the MIYO MAL. All of that information is posted both in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Ravelry group, as well as on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works blog that is not on Ravelry. So you can read all about that and take part in that, and you can also post your pictures to Instagram as well as on Ravelry. So if you aren't on Rav, you can still take part. I'd love to have you be a part of it. The first quarter is underway. It's not too late for you to join in, though. You can declare a theme for this first quarter and still join in, and we'd love to have you. We've been getting a lot of finished object forms submitted, so that's always exciting. I love to see what everybody's finishing up. I am dreadfully behind on the chatter thread in the Ravelry group. I sat down the other day. Actually, I sat down a couple of different days and started working away at it, and I can never get through all of it, and then by the time I get back to it, there's like dozens more posts. So I'm so glad you guys are being super chatty and enjoying the community with that. I swear I will get caught up, probably just in time for us to go away, and then I'll be behind by another 10 days. But I'm trying. I am trying. Okay. That brings us to the shop news section of the podcast, so state of the studio, and that is the shop update, which is taking place tomorrow, the 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's my anniversary update. It's officially the shop's anniversary. Now, I did do the whole pre-orders for the anniversary colorway last month. Anybody who had ordered a pre-order of the anniversary colorway, that has been shipped out. You have received that. I shipped those all by the 15th as promised. So, yeah, hopefully you have that and you're enjoying that. The pre-orders did go out with some bonus minis, which are not going to be offered for the regular shop update. That was just something for the people who did the pre-orders. Though I do have 3 skeins left that have the minis left with them because I dye colorways in sets of 2. So I am going to be listing those along with all of the other anniversary colorway skeins. However, those sets will be a little bit more than they were when they were pre-orders, because the minis are no longer like an added bonus. It's actually a set. So just so you know that. But yeah, I have a whole bunch of the anniversary colorway dyed up and ready to ship out, including, okay, here, let me just, in case you didn't see it at the beginning, this is the anniversary colorway, Follow Your Path. This is on Bounce. I have it dyed up on a whole bunch of different bases. Here it is on Mountain Tweed BFL, which is a little bit more of an oatmeal-y base, so it always turns out a little bit darker. But the other one that I'm super excited about, and I only have 2 skeins of this in the shop because I was not sure how it was going to turn out. I absolutely love it. You know my twist yarn, I have it in worsted weight. It's a non-superwash base on worsted. It has the dark and the light yarn in it. And then I also got the non-superwash version of fingering weight in at one point, and I did that. Well, I now got in the twist that is superwash fingering weight, and I dyed this colorway up on that. So again, there's only 2 skeins of this going into the shop because I was just sort of testing it out, but oh my gosh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. This is 100% merino, superwash merino. It's a 2-ply. It does not have nylon in it. So if you're somebody who needs to have nylon in your socks, you might not want to use it for socks, but it would be excellent for anything else you wanted to use your fingering weight for. And it is so soft and squishy. I absolutely adore this, and I love how that dark yarn, you know, the black and the gray sections of that dark yarn, how they just do that marl. I think it's astounding. I'm so happy with this. I have a bunch more of it that I'll be dyeing up in coming updates in other colorways, but I had to get some out there in the shop. So this will be in the shop along with all of the other skeins of the anniversary colorway. So that's going to be in there. And then the colorway I showed you the sample of just a few minutes ago, the Keep On Going, I have a bunch of that going in the shop as well. You saw it on Bedazzled in my sample. Here it is on Bounce. Here it is on Mountain Tweed BFL. So again, you can see that color difference because of the darker base yarn for that. But I always like to try to do them on both just so people know what they're getting in case they're not familiar with the Mountain Tweed BFL. So I have that, and then I also will have a restock, as I said, of the Crystal Pie Dark. There is still some Crystal Pie Light in the shop from the last update. I don't know exactly which bases they are, but they're there. And so I may do more of those in a future update, but since Crystal Pie Dark was completely sold out, I wanted to restock. So there's probably, I think I did a small update. So check the listing and you'll see what I've got for that. And then I did some inversibles, and I did some really fun spring bright colors and inversibles. So, whoo, the light is really blowing those out. So this is the pink and the yellow from the bunnies, like the bunnies pop, the bunnies minis, and the bunny stripe colorways that are in the shop right now. These are some of those colors that I pulled out and did inversibles. The pictures in the shop will be much more accurate since the light is just blowing these out. But this is the pink and the yellow. And then I did the purple and the green. And here it is on Bedazzled. All of the inversibles will be on both Bounce and Bedazzled, by the way. And then I did the purple again with the blue. So I thought those were fun. Anyway, so that is some inversibles, and then as I said, I did this confetti tweed that I did this hat out of. I had enough yarn that I could dye 6 colorways and put, like, I think there's 4 skeins of each of them going into the shop. I am going to be getting more of this in because I've had such a huge response to it just from the podcast last time talking about it, and some stuff that people have emailed me about after I showed it in the shop or on Instagram. They didn't email me, they commented on the Instagram post. So there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. And I also got some comments that yes, you might like that also on fingering weight. So potentially I will get this same base in on fingering weight. But anyway, I will have it on the brown that I used for my hat. I don't remember what I called it. I created all new colorway names for the colors going on this confetti tweed. The base is officially going to be called Confetti Tweed Merino DK because I want you to know what you're getting. So here's the brown. I did 3 neutrals and 3 brighter colors. So the neutrals are the brown, and then I did this one that I'm calling cream soda because I feel like it's just the perfect color of cream soda, and I really love it. It's not too yellow. It's just a really nice, I don't know, I like it. It's a really nice champagne-y kind of color, almost ginger ale maybe. So it's on that color. And then I did this gray, which is a different shade of gray than I've done. It's not wisp, it's not graphite, it's not soot. It falls in that range. I would say it falls in between wisp and graphite, if I had to nail it down there. I was trying to keep the colors sort of lighter just so that you could really get the most out of those pops of color from the Tweety bits. So I didn't want to go any darker than that. So there's those, and then the 3 brighter colors that I put it on. I did this pink, which I think I called Strawberry Cream. So there's this fun pink, and then this seafoamy green, which I did call Seafoam. Look how pretty those pops are. Just love them. And then this one, what did I call you? I don't remember. It'll be in the shop. It's a blue. So anyway, got that one. So those will be in the shop. As I said, I will have about 5 sets of the DK Way for Ukraine project sets, half scan project sets in the shop. I did not get to do any more inversibles, but I do think, at least as of this moment, there is one inversible for Ukraine inversible set left on Bedazzled. So hurry up and grab that if you'd like it. What else? Oh, I added the custom dyed inversible listings back into the shop. So you can once again pre-order or order custom inversible colorways, or, you know, if there's one that you've been wanting and never were able to get in the shop, you can order it that way. Those are 4 to 6 week turnarounds usually. As always, I try to get things out as soon as possible, but just so you know. What else? What else? I don't know. There's probably a couple of other random things that might pop up into the shop, and so if you're interested, check them out. I think I added some more of the stitch markers, the Crystal Pie stitch markers. I did some more sets of those, so those will be in there. Okay, heads up. The 2022 Holiday Countdown sets will be going up for pre-order as of April 1st. I have decided that, and they will remain up for pre-order through at least May 31st. So 2 full months that you will have if you would like to order one of those. I may do them longer than that. I don't know. It just depends on what the response is, and I just have to make sure that I can get all of the yarn in necessary for them. The theme this year is going to be called In Contrast. And so it will, unlike some years where I have done my sets so that all of the colorways flow together and make a nice progression, this year it's going to be a progression of light and dark alternating, so that there will be contrast from day to day. I think that opens up a whole lot more project possibilities for you. There will be a pattern coming along with this collection, just like there was last year, that will make use of those contrasts. The colorways this year are going to mostly be tonal. Well, actually, no, they're not going to they're going to be tonal. I will have the shop listing up. I'm not going to put it up before the update tomorrow because I feel like that might be too confusing since it's not going to go live until April 1st. So I will put the listing in the shop sometime next week, a few days prior to April 1st, so that you can check that out and see all the pricing information, all the options. I can tell you I'm going to be offering it as the 10 gram minis, so 24 days of 10 gram minis. I'm also going to be offering it as 24 days of 20 gram minis, which I've not done before, but I'm also still going to offer a 12-day, a half set of 20-gram minis like I did last year. So there will be all of those options. You'll read about the bases that will be available in the update. And then I'm also going to do fiber because I know I have my people who really love the fiber set, so I will definitely be doing fiber as well. All those details will be in the listing, and best way to find out when that listing is up is be on my newsletter. I always say that. That's the best way to find out anything going on in the shop. Check the newsletter link out on the website. Go to fibernymphdyeworks.com, and on any page you'll find up at the top or at the very bottom a link you can click to join the newsletter list. I don't spam you. I send out maybe one email a week, if that. Sometimes two, but then it gets offset because I won't send one again for another week or two. So anyway, that will be going on, and I'm super excited about it. I get so excited when I'm starting to plan these holiday sets. Anyway, and then again, I mentioned last time, looking into April, I am planning to do one last update before we go away on our trip, and that will probably be it'll be sometime over that first weekend in April. It may push to like Monday, that first Monday in April. But stay tuned. And again, newsletter, follow me on social media, predominantly Fiber Nymph Dye Works on Instagram. That's the best way to stay on top of that. Not my Fiber Nymph account. That's my personal account. I don't put business stuff there very often at all. Yeah, rarely. So Fiber Nymph Dye Works account on Instagram, or be on the newsletter. There is a Facebook page as well that you can follow. I don't put anything that is posted on Instagram gets cross-posted to Facebook though. So I think that is everything for shop news. Things bringing me joy this week. I'm going to get to see my oldest son tomorrow. He lives in North Carolina. I have not seen him in over 4 years. I'm so excited to get to see him. I was supposed to visit him 2 years ago, but then pandemic. And then last year again, it just didn't work out. So they are coming up here this weekend. And it's going to be a really quick whirlwind trip for him and his partner. She's got family up here too, so they're trying to see everybody, of course, but we are going to get to see him tomorrow afternoon. We're going to do lunch, and then they're going to come back and hang out here. So super, super excited about that. Yeah. And I know I mentioned that I would tell you a little bit more about Muffin, but honestly, I don't want to talk about it because I'm going to end up crying. Suffice it to say, she, just that weekend before we had to say goodbye to her, she developed issues where she could not, her coordination was gone. She couldn't stand right. She could not walk without falling over. She wasn't eating, and when she did eat the night before this all really got going, she got very sick but couldn't move to get away from where she'd been sick. It was just so sad. And so it was clear that something was going on neurologically. I did get her into the vet that Monday afternoon. They got me in, and the vet said, yeah, it's either she's had a stroke or she has a brain tumor or something. It was very clear because he said that anytime dogs have something going on in their brain, whichever side of the brain is affected, that's the side that they tend to lean towards or fall towards, and that's exactly what she was doing. And she kept tilting her head this way, and she actually looked really cute holding her head this way, but it was so sad because I knew it was because something was wrong. So anyway, long story short, she's not going to get better from this. And so, we made that choice that it was time. But what was so sweet at that time is usually in the car going to the vet, and once you get to the vet, she was always so stressed out, really anxious. And this time, the whole ride to the vet, she was in the front seat next to me, and she just laid there. And she'd look up at me occasionally, and I was petting her, and she was fine. She was not freaked out at all. And then we got to the vet, and the whole time at the vet, she was completely chill. And so while we were in there waiting for the doctor and then waiting for everything to happen and everything, I was just holding her. I was sitting in the chair holding her on my chest. And she was just laying there like a baby. You know those days of when you can hold your baby right here and they're all relaxed and sleeping? That's exactly what she was doing. And it was like she was okay with it. It was like I feel like she knew, which may sound silly, but I was so thankful that in that moment she was not scared. I was sad that like her entire life she couldn't have been that way because she was such a high-strung, anxious dog. And she never really liked to be held. And so at the end, I was so thankful that that's how it was, you know? That she was okay and she was calm and said goodbye. And it was peaceful. So that's the best any of us can hope for, right? Okay. See, this is not how I wanted to end the podcast, but I guess it's better to end it this way than to have started it this way. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I need to finish getting everything ready for the shop update tomorrow. And if you watched this far and got through the sad stuff, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you again one more time before I go away on my trip. Oh, by the way, I did actually record a special episode one day recently talking about my most used knitwear items from this past winter. I just haven't had time to upload it yet, to get it processed and uploaded. So I'll work on that, and that'll go up sometime soon too. It's not like it's of a timely nature or anything. So anyway, but that'll be coming. So you will have from me another couple of times before I go away. But anyway, have a good next week or two. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're able to stay sane and calm, and especially with everything going on in the world right now. So hang in there. Keep on going. It will be okay. We will all get through this together. Remember to breathe and remember to step out of the fray when you need time to regroup and take care of yourself. So I will see you again soon. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.